Hey, I'm Zach. I just graduated from Jefferson. I go to Skyline now. I majored in psychology. I'm trying to become a therapist. My main goal is to just like help people and just to get to know them, not through like some big action or anything like that, but just a simple conversation, which is kind of what I'm hoping to do with this testimony as well. To start with my testimony, I grew up, for a little bit of context, I grew up in a background of Filipino parents who would always take me to Catholic church. For me, there was nothing wrong with Catholicism. To me, it was like just something that we would do, and they always told me about the Lord. And for me, it just the way they approached it, coming from a kid, um, I was always just a little dry in my faith. I always believed. I was always a believer of God and of Jesus, but I was never on fire. I never had an actual relationship with Him. To me, it was just like a TV show or a cool little hobby that people have, like, oh, I love Jesus and all that. But yeah, for me, I was really lost in my faith. And in terms of my life, I was very lost as well. The same parents I had that brought me to church were also the ones who didn't live a life that was according to Christ. And that led me to be very lost. And I had anxiety, depression. I felt like I wasn't really loved by my family and by my parents sometimes. And I had to lean a lot on my sister, and being raised by someone who is also a child growing among me, along with me. It wasn't very helpful, and she did her best in raising me and trying to help me become who I am today. And that's one of the reasons I want to be a therapist. But she wasn't quite what I needed as a kid and what I needed growing up in terms of love and affection. To start with, where I actually started to know God was, I early on was on TikTok, and I would just scroll and see a bunch of Christian videos, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool and all that. Like, that's really cool. They're talking about the faith I'm in." But I wasn't really in the faith yet. But they were talking about faith and like why Christ is reliable and why Christ is who we should follow. But a lack of church, a lack of really reading my word is what led me to just kind of never actually pursue Christianity. But the main thing that kind of switched it around was my senior year. Senior year, I was jobless. I had no girlfriend. I had no job, no good grades, no license, and honestly, I kind of just felt like a bum. And growing up with parents that felt like they didn't love me, it made me think in my head that I wasn't deserving of love. And those reasons, no job, no license, bad grades, all those things attributed to what I thought of myself. And I just thought I wasn't worth anything. I wasn't worth loving. I wasn't worth anything at all. But I go to school one day with my friend, and it's a bad day. We're just walking around waiting for just something to happen. And these people go up to me. They say, "Hey, come to our event. It's hosted at this school, which was our high school." And they said, "Come by. It's like a cool little event called Pursuit of Happiness." And I'm like, "No, I'm okay." And they said free food, and I'm like, "Okay." And I'm wondering, what is Pursuit of Happiness? Like you're probably wondering now. And I go, and it's a kind of like a mini sermon where kids just get to know who Jesus is. And I didn't know it was about Jesus at all going into it, but they told me, they basically clocked me on every single thing in the sermon. I mean, they talked about where I'm looking for connection for, where I'm pursuing happiness. And it was all the things that, like probably if you're under the age of 25, you probably know of doom scrolling on your phone, looking at your likes, looking at your views on your story, on looking at who's doing this, looking at who's paying attention to you, looking at who wants to talk to you, and hours of endless video game playing to find fulfillment. And yet, none of that is it. And they told me the one thing that is going to save you is Jesus Christ and how He died for us on a cross, and that He has eternal life for us. And from there, boom, I was kind of interested. It sparked an interest in me, a little fire, I guess. And from there, I started going to the Kingdom Club, which is this Christian club at Jeff, and at many other schools in the California San Mateo district. And that's what got the ball rolling for me, the Kingdom Clubs, and not just having a community, which is really important in your Christian faith and your walk with God, but also just like the events. One event being Encounter Night. Encounter Night is this event where you can just Christians, non-Christians, non-believers can all come to this event where there's free food, games, prizes, dares, and sermon and messages, and you get to just, I guess, it's essentially almost kind of like church, but with the idea and the mindset that you get to encounter God and you get to really know what the love of Jesus feels like. And I go there, 2 months after the event I just talked about, and I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, I'm not expecting much. I'm still kind of having that little backtrack idea in my head, in the back of my head, that subconscious idea that, Jesus is just a hobby. Jesus is just something to make us feel good and make us feel like cool and all that. Um, but I go to the event, and after the sermon, after everything, after the dares, after all the energy is winding down and they're just worshiping and playing worship music, I'm there, have my hands up, and I'm just thinking in my head, I hear something in my head going, go to the altar, give God your heart posture, go to your knees and just give him your heart. And I go there, and I go to the altar, which is basically the stage, right below the stage. And I'm on my knees and I'm closing my eyes and I'm just saying, God, I give my heart to you. I open up my heart to you, Lord. And I just pray that I encounter you right now and that I get to feel your love. And in that moment, I'm washed with this insane feeling of love. And I feel it in my shoulders. I feel it in my legs. I just feel it everywhere. And I just know in my heart that it was the Holy Spirit in that moment. And I let out a cry I've never had before. I mean, I was crying. My nose was running. Like it was just dripping from my nose. Like a bunch of snot was coming from my nose. And my face is going pale from how much I'm crying. And, it's one of those cries where, when your parent is talking with you and like, you're like, and you're like choking and like, I'm just crying. And I don't even remember like trying to control it. It was so weird to me. Like I wasn't controlling my lips, but I was screaming in front of like 200, 300 people, God, why do you love me? Why? And I'm just like, yo, looking back, I can believe it now, but at the time I just really couldn't believe it. Cause like, I've never felt that much love, not from not from my family, not from my parents, not from any girl that I had some affirmations for, not from video games, not from social media, nothing. I've never felt the type of fulfillment that I felt from that night. And moving forward, as I continued my relationship with God, his love never runs out, And so for me, in that moment, was just so much healing from past relationships, past toxic family traumas, from many different things that I would cling onto, whether it was, those websites, whether it was video games, whether it was anger, hate, distrust in everyone I met. Everything that I thought fulfilled me, boom, washed clean. And in that moment, I found Jesus. And, you know, since then, I just continued to just follow in my faith with him. I got a little bit more in my word. I got a little bit more in my worship music. I went to church a little bit more. I started to change the way I live life and just give it all to Jesus. And for me, it's been the most fulfilling thing. So if you are lost, if you feel like there's something gnawing at you, there's something in your heart that's not fully being filled, and there's something in your heart that you feel like you can't let go of, that you feel like it's not possible. I can't move on from this person. Oh, I can't find happiness. Oh, I'm lost. There's nothing I can do to help me. There is. Jesus is the way. Jesus says he is the way, the truth, and the life. And it's not just so we can get into heaven. Yes, that's the main goal. But he also brought heaven down to earth when he came here and humbled himself as the Son of God, as Jesus. And he's here. He's waiting for you with open arms, waiting at the door. He's just waiting for you to open the door. So if you're like me and you felt that way, open the door. He's waiting. And I'm telling you, that hug you're going to get from him in that moment you surrender your heart to him is going to be worth it. And I've just been able to see what he's done in my life. And it's just overfilled me and overfilled my heart. And I feel like he's filled my cup, and now I want to help lead others to this well, to this living water. And it'd be selfish of me to just keep it to myself. So something I do is, and it's not very typical either, it's I actually go out and evangelize meaning kind of sharing and proclaiming the gospel and sharing my faith, sharing my testimony, and just in hopes that others will find him as well. And I've been evangelizing on VR. And to me, this was such a unique experience because, you'll see street preachers, you'll see people hosting events, you'll see people going up to you, talking to you, you'll see people invite others to church. But for me, VR is one of those things where nobody is expecting to hop on VR and see someone proclaim the gospel and really tell them about their testimony, about what God is doing, about what God did, about who Jesus is. And I personally choose VR because VR was one of the things that I used to cope with my life before. I would be on there for hours at a time. I'd be up at 3 a.m. on there. And I think VR is one of the things that's very in need of the gospel of Jesus. I mean, everywhere in this world needs Jesus. But for me, it was VR specifically that clung to my heart because there's not any street preachers on there. There's no people really proclaiming the gospel on there. And like the world, I mean, like the actual like world, the physical world here has street preachers, has church, has everything like that. Evangelists going out and talking about Jesus. But VR, it is unheard of. And people think that, oh, it's just a game. Nobody's going to be on there proclaiming the gospel. But I want to hit people. I want to hit where the fish are. In the Gospels, they tell Peter, "You're going to be fishers of men," and it's essentially we're going to be fishing for men. I mean, yeah, I mean that's what it is. And to be a fisher, you need to go where the fish are, and that's where they are. I think VR is a great place where the fish are, and knowing the culture of VR as well has been what mainly also leads me. There's a lot of things on there that, if you really look into it, there's a dark side of VR. You know, people being on there so they could escape reality. People on certain websites so they could get a little more closer to what they want, to their lust, to their greed, to whatever it is, whether it's gambling or anything like that, or lustful actions, anything like that. It's happening on VR, just like how it's happening in the world. And I think that people on VR need to hear the gospel. So the one experience that really clings to me, that really just fired it up for me to continue this evangelizing on VR, has been this guy I met. And unfortunately, I haven't seen him since. But I met a guy at 3 a.m. on VR, and I'm talking to him. I'm telling him about the gospel. I asked him, when was the last time you felt loved? And he said, I don't know. And to me, that broke my heart. And that's not even the saddest part of the story. The saddest part being, after I prayed for him, he told me he was weeping, and he was telling me, he was saying, this is a sign. And I asked him, what's it a sign of? He said, after today, I was thinking of ending my life in the next morning. My girlfriend broke up with me, and I'm in a really dark place. So tonight was going to be it. This was going to be the last night I was alive. But this is a sign that I need to keep going. And to me, that broke my heart, because I have countless nights like that where I just thought it's over, nothing can save me. And man, boy, did I need Jesus, and boy, did that guy need Jesus as well. And I think there's a whole lot of people out there right now who need Jesus. And so for me, if I were to say, what has Jesus done in my life? I mean, it's not about what I've done in my life. It's about what my life has done for others now. And I've kind of just let myself be a vessel for Jesus. And that night I wanted to go to sleep. I mean, it's 3 a.m. Who wants to be talking to people about the gospel? But I don't know, a revelation hit me in my head when I was praying that night, that I should just go ahead and proclaim the gospel at that time. And if I said no, went to sleep, or went off and played another video game, I wouldn't have seen that guy. That guy right now would be dead. So that's one of the things that keep me going. Just when I'm having a hard time wanting to get up and like spread the gospel on VR, or just to anybody in person, really, I just think about how that guy needed the gospel in that time. That guy needed Jesus. That guy needed the Father's love to come upon his heart. And yeah, that's pretty much just something that Jesus has done to change my life and to just move in my life in ways I never thought possible. Thank you.